This is the Life Calling Coach, Coach Athena, and I love to bring you these readings because they are our steps. They are our steps in the right direction, okay? Okay, so what do we have? For our growth reading, we always start with, what does the Lord have for us? Our growth reading starts with the Death card. And you know what? I don't want you guys to get, feeling some kind of way about the Death card. Because death is just a new beginning. It's, things have to come to an end for you to start something new. So let's get into it. Our card, as I told you, is death. That's our reading for today, death. And what I want to point out to you, there are cycles to everything, and that's mainly what this reading is about, cycles. Because if you look at the picture, and that's why I have it on the screen, because I want you to see the picture. If you look at the picture, there are 14 marigolds surrounding the outside of 13 candles. There are 4 butterflies in this picture. The 14 marigolds represents the cycles of 7, life and death. And there's 7, each cycle surrounds 7. When God created the world, he created it in 7 days. He did things in cycles of 7. Honor that which is passing. Honor that which is passing. Celebrate the beauty and fragility of life. Okay, that's what the Death card represents. Okay? Endings. Welcome endings. Because when you welcome endings, then you're going to open yourself up and be ready to accept what's coming forth. Okay? So, I'm going to share with you a little more out of our book. We do this pull from our Herb Crafters Tarot for our Death card, the Death card. Our herb associated with this card for this week is marigold, which are very beautiful flowers that we saw around the outside of the skull. All things come to an end. Find closure so you may accept renewal. First, pay homage to what must die. What must die for you to be able to move forward? It has given you life. The rich scent and vibrant color of the marigold is said to lead the souls of the beloved dead home, so we may celebrate them and the lives that they lived. Honor your experiences as they pass. Like the delicate paper flags, because there are paper flags in this picture, if you can see them around the top. When I saw the flags, it reminded me of a banner, and I'm going to get there for the banner, okay? But delight in the beautiful moments, because like the delicate paper flags, life is fragile and fleeting. So if you're not paying attention to what you need to pay attention to, there's something on my left. Okay, there it is. You may be missing some things, okay? Life is fragile. As the bright marigold flowers will eventually wither and fade, embrace this time of transition. Embrace this time of transition. Yes, we are in a period of transition, guys. Yes, we are. So we should embrace this time of transition. As the bright marigold flowers will eventually wither and fade, we embrace this time that we have. A sacred contract is reaching completion. Let the petals fall. You know how sometimes we might be sitting here trying to save things. Oh my God, it's going to fall apart, and it's not meant for you to save it. It's not meant for you to catch it. It's meant for it to fall. Like the leaves that fall off the tree in the fall. You're not meant to save those leaves. Those leaves are meant to fall, wither, and die, because it's the cycle of life, so that they can be reborn again when spring comes back around. So, as I told you when I read this, when I looked at the picture, the paper flags reminded me of a banner. And a banner, you know what a banner is. A banner is like a sign that's over you. If you ever went to a party, they got a big banner out. It's announcing something, right? That's what a banner's purpose is to announce something. It's to show you the title. This is what it is. This is where we are. This is, okay? So I want to take you to a scripture. Song of Solomon 2:4. He has brought me to his banqueting place, and his banner over me is love, waving overhead to protect and comfort me. What is your banner over you? Allow love. This one is Psalm 64. Allow love to be your banner and to transform everything you touch. So we're in a season of transformation. Okay, so you're going to see things that are moving, ending, and you have to let them die. You have to let them go, because it's part of our healing process. In order for us to start again and start anew on this next road, we have to let some things go. We have to let some things die. I want to share something else with you, because this banner over your head should be love, right? But we're dealing with cycles and dealing with death and dealing with kind of letting some things go, possibly. So I want to share. So the herb associated is marigold, and some ways that you can craft with death. Crafting is your healing part. This is your actions that you want to do in order to activate this, okay? Create a ceremony to acknowledge a symbolic death. Something may be coming to an end. So do a little ceremony to send it on its way. You know how, that's good, honey. You know how, like we do when people pass. The funeral is just to send them on their way. It's like our acknowledgement of saying goodbye officially. So create some kind of ceremony. If there's a process in your life that's ending, and I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about if you are in a transformation and you see things that are ending for you. There may be some habits you want to get rid of. Send them on their way in a real ceremony. Okay? Welcome transformation by making art with beautiful butterfly imagery. Butterflies are all about the renewal, because the butterflies go in that cocoon and then they come out really beautiful, fresh. So that is your growth reading, okay? So now our bridge for this week, the bridge is the Wheel of Fortune. The bridge is the Wheel of Fortune. And pay attention to that picture, because it's the possibility of all things. The Wheel of Fortune is the cycle of life card. And as I told you, things happen in cycles. God does things in cycles. Usually there's 7-day cycles or 7 cycles. 7 is completion. So when you get into the 8th year or 8th month or 8th of something, you're in a new beginning. You're in a new cycle. You're starting all over again. So the Wheel of Fortune is going to deal with hindrances, things that are blocking you. No vision. No traction. karma, past deeds coming forth, and seasons, which was big for me because it took me to Ecclesiastes 3:1, where there is a season and a time appointed for everything, and a time for every delight and event or purpose under heaven. There's a time for every single thing. God set eternity, which is a sense of defined purpose. And if anybody is not aware, this is your season to really dig in and discover your purpose and walk in it, because God has paved the way for it right now. So he has set eternity, which is a divine purpose, in the human heart, which is a mysterious longing which nothing under the sun can satisfy except for God. So if there's something that you're longing to do, I just want to do this, I just need to do that, that's God nudging you in your spirit that it's time for you to step out into this thing. It's time for you to step out into what he has for you now, your purpose. All the other things you've been doing thus far have been great. They get you your money, you've got you set up where you need to be. Now you can take the time to really focus on purpose. Okay? So, in this one, in our healing, this is from our healing book. So we do two things with our card here, the Wheel of Fortune. We have our life lesson and our life wisdom. Our life lesson is that thing that keeps us stuck, a little stagnant. Your life wisdom is the healing part. It's how you go past this. So if you come somewhere in the middle of these are two extremes, then you're going to get your balance. And that's all it's all about, is maintaining our balance. The life lesson for Wheel of Fortune is blame. Yeah, you're pointing your finger at somebody else and you're saying it's their fault. You hurt me, or you did this. But the life wisdom is accepting change. Understanding that things are not always going to stay the same. And that change is not always a bad thing. Okay? So let's see what our life lesson shows us. If you see any of these things, then it's something that you might want to pay attention to. That's something where you're going to start your process digging up this root and see, where is this keeping me bound or stagnant or slow in this moment. Okay? A victim mentality. Everything happens to me. People are always doing something to me. Why is it always me, 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 me? Feeling stuck. Like your feet are in the mud. And no matter what you do, no matter how many things you put in place, I can't move forward. I can't go backwards. I can't go forward. I'm just stuck. Fighting change. And you see the change. You see the change right in front of you. You know you have to go with this change. I have a lot of major changes coming up for me right now. And it's a major transition, because we are transitioning even in our family. My youngest son is getting ready to go on his own. That's a major transition. My daughter is preparing to be a senior. She started her first job. Major transition. So it's a major transition for parenting, because you have to parent different. My stepson is coming to live with us. Major transition, major change. So you can't fight the change when you see it. I see these changes coming. And I may be uncomfortable with some of them. We as parents, we are always uncomfortable when we see our kids getting ready to go on their own. But you can't fight the change. You have to go with it. You have to allow God to give you what you need to go with it, and give them, or those people that are involved in that process, that you're involved in that process with, the opportunity to have a successful launch. Another thing, not seeing opportunities. You may have opportunities being thrown at you, but you're so distracted that you can't even see them. No follow through. You start this today. Next week, you're going to start another process. That don't work out for you. Next month, I got a new business venture. No follow through. No vision. You know that I use in my books, see, accept, and agree. See is your vision. If you can't see, and I don't mean literally, I mean spiritually, third eye, then you're fumbling in the dark. So you have to go through the process like we went last week about breaking up those emotional barriers so that you can see spiritually, so you can have your vision back, so you can see the big picture. This is what God is trying to show you. This is what he's trying to get you to. And then lastly, holding on to the past. I don't care if it's a past hurt, a past hang up, a past love. Guess what? You may have been the greatest love of your life, but he's gone or she's gone. And you have somebody else sitting in your face right now that you can't embrace because you're so busy thinking about that other one back there who ain't nowhere near you, ain't thinking about you. All right. That's the life lesson. So, our life wisdom. Our life wisdom is your healing. These are the things you want to look for in your process to know, okay, I'm going to do this. When we see, then we accept the reality of what we see. We accept that there has to be a change. Okay, we accept whatever God shows you when you see it. Okay, and then we agree that we're going to make a change and we're going to do something different. And your life wisdom is what's going to help you in that process. So knowing there is an orderly plan behind random changes of life, the cycles of life, that's the first thing you need to get into your spirit. Know that there is an order to this. God does things in divine order. And sometimes it's divine chaos. So just because a thing may be a little chaotic doesn't mean it's not God in it. Because the chaos is going to build something in you. So you gotta go with the cycles, go with the flow, and understand that this is part of the process. Accept the cycle of life, the time and the change. What I say, see, and then accept the cycle of life that you're in, the time and change that you're in. And then, fortunate for new beginnings. 8 is the number of new beginnings. So understand that also you're going to have new beginnings in this thing. So you should be looking for new beginnings. See opportunities. Stop allowing yourself to miss out on the things that God has to prosper you right now. They're not going to come in a traditional way. For those of us, or not us, but those of you, because I'm not doing that, who are out here trying to seek purpose in a job that may not be the path. So you may find yourself floating around job to job to job to job, and it's like it's not working, right? Okay. See opportunities. And then you got to get into a healing process where you have to purposely dig up those roots. Like I told you, through the self-coaching books that I've authored, What Are You Rooted In? Planting Seeds of Purpose. They help you to dig up roots. I have a whole process in there to help you dig up roots. And you want to see how these past events are affecting your present situation. Because whether you know it or not, they can affect your ability to be able to move forward. Like you said, you feel stuck. You may be stuck because you're still holding on to some stuff in the back that you haven't allowed to release. You haven't had a ceremony to lay it to rest. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to accept what is seen as truth, revelational, and your path to wellness. When you go through this process after this reading, you need to accept what is seen as truth and then allow God to help you get to that path to wellness, because this truth is going to get you on the other side. And then I want you to agree to leave the past in the past. Shed that old cloak and adorn yourself with a new cloak of purpose. Leave the past in the past. Shed that cloak. And sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes it's hard to leave the past in the past. Especially for those who may deal with struggle, trauma, PTSD. The past is now haunting you in a sense, because the trauma is coming back like it's real. And I have been triggered quite a bit in the past week. There have been very silent triggers though. Interesting. Very silent triggers. But triggers nonetheless. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you before I give you your journal prompts and your healing actions. When I was doing this process, some things came up for me, because like I told you, we're in cycles. And I'm going to share this with you because God told me to share it. Because there's somebody out here who's dealing with this and you don't know how to move past it. When I was in my 20s, I had my first child when I was 23. And I'm going to read what God had me write because it's important. Okay. My firstborn went to heaven on this day, June 26th, 32 years ago. My angel. I lost 15 years due to trauma. 15 years of my life due to trauma. I stopped growing when my baby stopped breathing. And I went back and I did the math. And it makes sense. It does. Because I did. For those of you who are aware of, what I'm doing now. Hey, Fee. I am in a relationship. My man we have an age difference. It's a 15-year age difference. Isn't that something? But when we connect, I guess, in our soul, we are not, there is no age difference. If you're trying to say what I'm saying, here, understand what I'm saying, there is no age. And so that 15-year gap for me is real. In a lot of ways, I cannot relate to people my age because I haven't matured in a lot of areas because of that 15-year gap. So like I said, when my baby stopped breathing, I stopped growing. And during that 15-year span, I was in a trance. I was just moving. I wasn't processing things. And I definitely wasn't living. I was just going along with what everybody wanted me to do. And it was my sis who brought this to my attention and showed me, kind of shook me, like, what's going on with you? This is not you. During this time, I got married. I gave birth to 3 beautiful souls, was introduced to Athena. I started healing myself after a 7-year bout of depression. All of this after my first child passed. In that 15-year span. And there were 2 cycles in there. There was a first 7-year cycle in there, in which after that was when I started my healing process. Then it took another 7 years for me to heal, because I was clinically depressed for 7 years. Couldn't work. And I came out of it in exactly 7 years. So, I also started to put myself first during this process. But in 2005, I began growing again after the birth of my daughter, my second daughter. You know, and that's exactly 15 years after I came out of that process. She ushered in personal peace, and she broke that 15-year bondage. And her name is purposeful. Her name, when you say it out, is Princess Peace, because her middle name is Peace, and that was what she birthed into existence. She is not a replacement for my first child. She is the better version of self, of me. I always look as like God gave me another opportunity, because I don't know what kind of mother I would have been to the first daughter, because I was a different woman. So she got the better parts of me, and I can see it now as she's growing into a young woman. You know, so I was bound during that time. I didn't have any sense of purpose or self. I was just literally out here doing what people wanted me to do, like a robot. Hold up, I'm reading something. I want to tell you about my daughter, because I don't want to skip over this. My first daughter. I literally just existed. My daughter's birth, this is my first child, her name was Deidre, sprang forth the possibilities of life. Remember I told you our reading was death, and death is only in existence to bring forth life. But a lot of people look at the fact that you lost a child or death occurred, oh, it's the end of the world, but it wasn't the end of the world. She came forth for something to die, so that life could begin again for me and everything else that came after. But the light was dimmed early when we discovered her illness. She was born to die, literally. She was born with a genetic disorder that gave her only 3 years prognosis to live. So she was born to die, in a sense like Jesus was. She came here for a purpose, to kill off some things so that life could begin again. But she lived for 6 months and 7 days, the 7th cycle. Her cycle was complete and her assignment done. Her ascension woke me and killed me at the same time, which, like I told you, I went into that 15-year span after that of no growth. And I literally started growing again after the birth of my second daughter. I went through a process of healing, therapy, so that I could discover who Athena was. So as we are moving forward in this energy to accept change and to move forward and allow death to occur, it is not a bad thing. Allow the death to occur so that you can be opened up to the new season, new life, what God has for you. Okay, so I have some healing actions for you. I want you to, and some journal prompts. The first thing I want you to pay attention to, I want you to become attuned to your natural cycles. And you do have them. If you pay attention to them, you will see how things process in your life. I have an exercise in one of my coaching books called My Contention Cycle, and I'm going to share that on the website. So anybody who's interested in using it to discover your cycle, I will make it available. Clean up emotional situations. We all have emotional mess that we sweep under rugs, and we just, I'll deal with that later. But later's here. God said later's here. Go back and deal with it. Whatever it is you need to do, you need to write it out. Don't go curse anybody out. Release the emotions. You can do it through writing. You can sit up here and record a recording and say everything you want to say. Yell it out and then delete it. But you got to find a way to release it. Open up and speak your mind to avoid emotional and psychological imbalances. When you bottle things up, what happens with a soda bottle once you bottled it up and then you shake it? It's going to explode. So you got to let this stuff out. But don't go doing it to people, okay? Obtain and maintain emotional balance. That's all it's about. Having power over your emotions. Okay? Begin and maintain a regular exercise routine to literally increase your flexibility. Remember, we're mind, soul, body. Okay? Mind, body, spirit, whichever one. Okay? So you have to feed all three. Okay? So you have to get the body involved. Walking, something. Power over emotions is hard to do. That's why you start in a process. Okay? You start with one little small thing and you conquer that. And then you go from there. But the thing is to understand your cycle in these emotions. Because once you understand your cycle, you can start cutting things off before they become an issue. Okay? So that's the key thing about understanding your cycles. Okay? Now, I got some journal prompts for you. And like I told you guys, don't worry, I'm going to share this whole video on YouTube so you'll get everything with the journal prompts and, and the words at the bottom of closed caption. So your first journal prompt, yes, the cycle. Your first journal prompt I want you to use. Am I prepared to go with the flow? Am I prepared to go with the flow? Because the flow has already started. And like I told you in the reading from a week ago, that if you're not ready, then you're going to be scurried along in the wind. But the flow is going. It's still happening. Your second journal prompt. Am I alert to unexpected opportunities when they knock? Are you paying attention? Are you allowing opportunities to just walk out the door because you're not paying attention, or because you're not emotionally available, or because your emotions are driving you? I'm afraid of that, so I'm not even going to look at it. That's where the emotions tie in, because your emotions can allow you to really mess up some things. Let me share something. I had another trigger. I keep telling you about my triggers. Over the weekend, and I'm not going to use names because I want to put people out, but I've had to deal with situations in my relationship with other women, and I got triggered the other day when a woman was interested in having a conversation with my man. And when the emotions come up, you deal with the emotions, and that's just the emotions of it. And that's what happened to me. Now, I didn't really respond to anything. It was more a head thing for me. But later on, after I went back and I looked at it, the things that this person was presenting was a business opportunity. Okay? But my mind was so stuck in the emotion of what happened before. You see what I'm saying? Of what happened before, that I couldn't even see the business opportunity. It wasn't until I got home, until afterwards, after I processed all of this and I let this go, and I was like, Lord, okay, he kept on hitting it in my spirits, like, deal with this, okay? And I did, and that's when I saw it. I was responding from those emotions, from the trigger, and it wasn't allowing me to open my eyes and see that this is actually a business opportunity that you too could take advantage of. So that's the reason why you got to have those emotions in check. You got to deal with them, so that you can be able to distinguish, if you come across it again, is this real or not real? Or am I just tripping because I feel a certain kind of way? So your third journal prompt, what is my contentious cycle? And how has it stunted my growth? And that's what's important to help you understand how you may be stunning your own growth just because we're being stuck in those emotions. Okay, so that is the bridge. That's the bridge for this week. So our next card for this reading is your love card. I always like to give you a love card because that's a warm and fuzzy card. Optimism. Unicorns. Unicorn rainbow. I mean, how pretty is that? Because you look at a rainbow and all you see is possibilities. And you know, a unicorn, well, that's fairy tale, right? So it's an appropriate card. Optimism. Seeing the better side of things. And purposely changing the vision. See, accept, and agree. Purposely changing the vision to see the better side of things. Find the magic and wonder in your everyday life, and it's there. It may be little small things, but it's there. One of the things that I put down is my husband's touch, my man's touch. That's so big for me. It's just, and it doesn't matter where he touches me, it's just a big thing. It's just, that touch does so much. That is one of the magic moments that happens in my life. It calls one to appreciate all that our body and mind can do so that we never take any of it for granted. The fact that I can sit here and do this, I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted at all. Find the sacred in the mundane. Find what's sacred in those things that feel like, oh, I got to do this again today. Yeah, you got to do it again today. Because those are the things that the magic happens in those small moments. No matter how boring or drudgery-filled a task is, delight in how your hands and fingers do the action. Because you can do it. It don't matter if you can do it well. It's the fact that you can do it. And have gratitude for your brain as it calls out the order of action. If you are able to do anything like this that I'm doing right here, you're blessed. Because your brain is functioning the way it's supposed to. Observe how you accomplish these little tasks and be in total gratitude for the ability to do them all. Because you're blessed. Okay, you're blessed. And sometimes we can shift our focus onto things that look so big because they may appear so bad or they hurt so bad that you miss all these little small things that, wow, God really did bless me. I do have this. Okay? So your special message for your love card is, you are overlooking an area or organ in your body that is in need of your attention. There's something crying out to you. It might be a little pain. It might be a little nudge. It may just be something within you that you know, okay, I'm off a little bit. And you don't really know what it is. There's something time to give a little more attention. Figure out what that is that needs attention in your body. You are being inspired to find this area and address its needs. That's it, and that's all. Feed it, cleanse it, give it what it needs to be balanced and whole again. And this is a cycle. You have to stay in a healing cycle. I don't care who you are, how old you are. If you've experienced any type of trauma, it's very likely you'll be in a healing cycle till you leave here. Because we don't know what's in us. We don't know how much is coming out. Some things, which I'm thankful that God does this for us, He allows us to forget them. But then they have to come back up so we can deal with them. Okay? The whole of you will rejoice and feel great. Optimism. Optimism that you can do this. Optimism that this is not the end of the road. Optimism that it's not going to kill me. Yes, it's not going to kill me. Optimism. So your growth solution for this week is, everything is about action. everything seems to be, this week is about action, which means that you have to do something. It's no more about just sitting here and listening to this growth reading or listening to somebody else. Now it's time to take these things and put them in place. Do something. Your growth solution is choice. Choice. I love these cards because they're so beautiful. That light just hits you. Choice. And everybody has a choice. If somebody tell you you don't have a choice, they're lying. Everybody has a choice. And that's the thing that upsets me more than anything, is when people remove my choice. I'm not going to judge anybody for what you do, how you do it, how you live, what you believe. I just like to be able to have a choice. Present it to me. Tell me what it is you might want to do, and let me see. Give me a choice. Don't just throw it down my throat and say, here, I want to have a choice. So what does this card say? It says, I choose serenity, light, and positive energy, versus what we just talked about. The negative emotions, the fear, the anger. No, I choose serenity, light, and positive energy. No matter what I go through, I choose happiness. And I do live by that. No matter what I go through, I choose happiness, because it is your choice. You can allow people to take you down that little negative path if you want to. And then guess what? You'll be wrapped up in that energy, and they're gone on their way because they've passed it off to you. And that almost happened to me last week, and I refused. No, I walked away. Because I'm not going to allow you to change my energy. I made a choice that I'm going to walk in this. So if somebody's coming to me with something other than that choice, no, I have a choice to say no. I'm not going to give into this. No. And that's just about standing your ground. It's not about being disrespectful. It's about respectfully standing your ground. I choose happiness. I rise above fear and direct my thoughts to God. Because when you're walking in a fearful path, you should be looking at God. Because fear can keep you bound. Fear will make you stand still. So we should be open. Our spirit should be open to whatever God, the universe, has for you to help you continue to move forward. Okay? So this is the Life Calling Coach, and that's your wellness growth reading. Discover your life path. The workshop. So if you're in the process where you really want to dig in and find purpose, that's the course for you. And I thank you for tuning in today with this growth reading. And as usual, it's the Life Calling Coach, and I encourage you to live on purpose and not by accident.